This is our shop out here. The business here is heating and cooling, plus they also do bar control. We make, if you've ever been in a bar where the bartender uses bar guns to shoot soda and liquor out of, we make, set up, maintain bar guns for different suppliers and bar companies, restaurants. Fans, motors, just about every part you can imagine in life. Copper lines for air conditioning, blowers for air conditioner. These are our beer guns, our liquor guns. This is a lot of the liquor gun systems over here. We install these, and what they do is the bartenders, these are usually installed in the basement or back room, and these containers hold, they take a booze bottle and turn it upside down, and it's feed through pressurized tubing that go into the liquor guns up at the bar. But as far as what I usually do around here is tinker with parts, repair refrigerators, air conditioner units, whatever parts and things need to be done with them. And other than that, I'm pretty much just a gopher around here. Whatever needs to be done gets done. This is a slushy machine. It weighs about 2,000 pounds. On the other side there we've got a Beermeister kegerator, which I'd like to put on my back patio or in my dining room, one of the two, for fun and adventure with all my friends and family. Well, I got a little story to tell you about how I got this mobile home. And most people don't believe it, but long story short, I only paid $1 for this house. So I called the financial and I said, you have this property at so-and-so address, and I asked the man if there's any way that it was for sale or what they were doing with the property. He said it was in foreclosure at the time, and he needed to talk with the people upstairs on the property. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll offer you $1 for it. He laughed considerably. He said, I don't think that'll happen, but I'll talk to the people upstairs. Well, the next morning, I got up, checked my answering machine, and lo and behold, on the answering machine was a message from the man from the financial company stating that he had spoke with the people upstairs on the property at the address that I had given them, and they accepted my offer. Well, I fell out on the floor because I just told you what that offer was. It was for $1. She's a toy beagle. She'll rip you from limb to limb. Zoe, say hi to the people out there. Say, hello, my name's Zoe. I'm Zozo, the killer beagle. She came to me as a rescue dog. When I got her, she was 6 months old. You could hold her in the palm of your hand. You could wrap her in a washcloth. She was so little. She only weighed about 5 pounds at the time. And she was living with a woman that had 3 young children, ages from like 3, 5, and 7 years old. They were really rough with her because you can imagine a 5-pound dog is very small, fits in the palm of your hand. And she apparently had a boyfriend that was really rough with her. When the dog made a mistake as a young puppy, peeing on the floor or whatnot, he would discipline her, and disciplining a 5-pound dog, you know, that should have been just a little tap with a finger on the nose opposed to something more severe. It wasn't the dog I would have chose, but she's a keeper and I'd never give her up now. I love her to death. Before Zoe came along, I did have a dog. His name was Christian. I had him for 14 years. He was a Norwegian Lab. He weighed 85 pounds. He was my buddy. He stuck to me like Velcro. I love that dog. Actually, he's still here with us today. When he passed away at 14 years old, I had him cremated. And maybe creepy, but he's in my bedroom closet. I still haven't had the heart to bury him and put him somewhere, because I guess, I don't know, creepy or not, it makes me feel good that he's still here with me, beside me. I don't know, maybe if I die, they'll just put him in the coffin with me and we'll spend eternity together. And here's Christian. Fortunately, I was able to save a little clump of fur of his, and the rest of it is his ashes. And there. Who is that? That's Christian. Yeah. That's big boy Christian. Eventually I'll get him a better urn. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is this mug. This mug was given to my great uncle, whom was my mother's uncle and also her godfather. He was a army soldier in the German army soldier in World War II. He was a first medic for Company 179. And this mug says on it, Christmas of War, 1940, First Medic, Company 179. Hitler presented this as a Christmas gift to my great uncle. And deep in the Iron Cross it says 1939, and there's the swastika. My uncle, when he reached the Russian front, one of the worst blizzards in history hit. And during the fighting, him being a first medic, he had to stay back from the company. And he stayed several clicks back from his company because when a wounded was pronounced, he would run up and he'd take care of the wounded, as you know in any wars, I guess. But anyway, the blizzard was so bad, he was wandering in a forest in Russia, was separated from his company, and he wandered for 2 days. A Swiss medic team had found him wandering, picked him up, eventually nursed him back to health and also took him back to Germany, where he was later reassigned to the end of the war. Later on, as the story goes, and I understand it, we found out that Company 179 was completely wiped out. Every soldier was killed in it. The only two survivors in Company 179 was one Army soldier that was taken prisoner by the Russians, and also my great uncle was the second survivor because of him being separated from his company during that blizzard in 2 days. This mug was presented from Hitler to those troops in Company 179. We believe because all the soldiers had perished during that battle and only two survived, that this is probably one of only two Steins that are left from Company 179 from the Nazis. Now I want to talk about the wine tanker, or the wine vase. My great uncle, he survived to, I believe, age 87 after the war was over. He lived up the street from my Oma and Ompa, which is my grandmother and grandfather. Ironically, a neighbor moved in next door to him who was a Jewish Holocaust survivor. She presented this wine vase to my father, which she had carried. This was one of her only possessions, every possession that was taken from her from the Nazis when she was put into the concentration camp. But she was able to hold on to this, keep this safe, all but a few little chips here. It survived. And as an old woman, she was telling the story of her Holocaust that the Nazis had put her through, and she actually gave this to my father. So I wanted to tell this story because it's kind of ironic. We have a Hitler mug here, the Nazis, and then we have something presented from a Holocaust survivor standing side by side. And when my mother passed away in 2006, I inherited these two objects. And it just kind of shows you 70 years later, or 65 years later, however long it's been, that peace can be brought on and democracy always wins. That a dictator, communist, and all those countries fall faster than a democracy will. That's all I got. Good luck, guys. Så jag hade förlaget nästan överallt, men så att vår resten är gift så as nu. Hålla med det, fan visst nog att det är mycket gående. Realize never falling at the emphasis this unique boys. Falling at the emphasis. The size of the and I real never fuck go for real lounge coffee. So I said the for a lot did it feel like